This is 21-year-old Joe Root's first ever Test century as a professional cricketer. Yes, this was back in 2013, over a decade ago, and he looked like a teenager pretending to play for England. And that's because, well, he kind of was. The lad from Yorkshire was barely out of academy cricket when he walked out to open at Lord's. His first Test century came against New Zealand. The 100? Yeah, it was clean, but not crazy. It was more like watching an honours student turn in a perfect essay. But even then you could tell, Joe had something. He wasn't slashing like KP or grafting like Cook. He was just smooth. Century 2. The Ashes. The second? That's when the tone changed. The 180 at Lord's in the Ashes. Root basically grabbed Australia by the collar and went, "Sit down, I'm your problem now." The Aussies had no clue what to do. He reverse swept, danced down, defended like a monk, and then just smashed a six like it was club cricket. Even the pundits started shifting their language. No more prospect, no more young lad. He was England's next main character. Slip era, then came the slip. Form, dropped. Confidence, gone. Centuries. Yeah, not for a while. But you know what? He still fought. 2014 and 2015 were weird. A lot of 50s. A lot of, oh, he looks good, until he doesn't. Then, out of nowhere, boom, 254 versus Pakistan at Old Trafford. Joe Root became a software update. Calm, ruthless, error-free. Root 2.0. From there, it was century after century. Like a rhythm game on easy mode. He'd drop a 190 versus South Africa, 136 in India, 180 not out against Australia again. And every time, he'd do that awkward half smile like he forgot how to celebrate. He wasn't loud. He wasn't viral. But man, he was consistent. But then came 2020. Root's form disappeared like it owed someone money. The whole of 2020, no Test century. But then came 2021. Joe Root went nuclear. 2021, peak Root era. He started with a double century in Sri Lanka, then another, then 186 in Chennai, then 218 in Chennai. He scored 1,708 Test runs in a calendar year. That's absurd. That's main character of cricket behaviour. Home hero. He wasn't just doing it abroad either. Lord's, Headingley, Nottingham. Name a ground in England. Root's probably left a mark on it. And it wasn't just hundreds, it was how he got them. Late cuts, reverse sweeps, ramp shots against quicks. He turned survival into style. But he can't do it in Australia. Ah yes, the classic. 2021 Ashes. Root plays out of his skin. He scores 89, 62, 50 and keeps getting hit in the nads, metaphorically and literally. And yet, no century. It was the ghost stat. But then, 2023 arrives. The redemption arc. And bang, 100 at Edgbaston in the Ashes. He hits reverse scoops against Pat Cummins like he's playing the 100 instead of a test match. It wasn't just class, it was creativity. The white ball oddity. Oh, and he has a couple of centuries in ODIs too. Not many, because he usually gets out at 80, being the nice guy. But his 100 against India in the 2019 World Cup? Yeah, that was vintage Root. Cool, classy, and just enough to let Bairstow go wild at the other end. Modern day Root. Now in 2024 and 2025, Root's still out there. Not the captain anymore, but still the king at number Nangaldi. His most recent Test century? Yeah, he made it in Hyderabad against India, when everyone thought Bazball had been figured out. Root batted like Bazball didn't exist, just pure, traditional, methodical Root. And it worked. The numbers. As of now, Joe Root has 31 Test centuries. That's second only to Alistair Cook for England. But if we're talking aesthetic, style, versatility, Root is in his own league. The legacy. You won't see Joe Root throwing tantrums or doing send-offs. You'll see him smiling at slip, cracking a pun, and then batting for 8 hours without blinking. He's not just a batter, he's a vibe. Final frame. We don't know when Joe Root will play his last match, but when he does, it'll be with a cover drive that makes the world stop. Until then, keep watching, because centuries are just chapters in the book that Root hasn't finished writing. Joe Root, 31 centuries, and we're not done yet.